So for the past few weeks leading up to Halloween, I've been doing episodes based around costumes, but now with Halloween right around the corner, I want to do something a bit more scary. So this week, I will be talking about the scariest villains in comic books. This would probably be a list dominated by Scarecrow, but I actually don't think Scarecrow is that scary. I think what he does is scary, but I don't think he himself is scary. I would also like to point out on the subject of things that I think that I may have differing opinions than you. Please don't shout loudly at me in the comments, because that gets annoying and I really don't think that that would accomplish anything for you. Except, of course, if you think you telling me your opinion is an accomplishment. There's that. Okay, moving on to the list. Number 10 is the Purple Man, and though this may not seem scary at first, think about this. Think about a man who can make you do whatever he wants. A vile, repulsive human being who has gotten everything he ever wanted just by asking. It would be like Prince Joffrey, except you can't stop him. If you even get close, he tells you to stop, and then it's done. You've lost. And to me, that is psychologically terrifying. Number 9 is Cassidy from Preacher, a vampire who honestly can't control himself, who is a terrible, vile human being pretending to be the friend of Jesse Custer and Tulip O'Hare. He hurts people, he kills people, and he has basically committed sexual assault against the main character of Preacher's girlfriend. He is a terrible vampire human being, and I hate him. Speaking of racist rednecks, number 8 is Carnage, a racist redneck who is also a serial killer, and has all the powers of Venom. More powers of Venom, in fact. He sucks, and he's creepy. This list is very scary. Number 7 is Comedian. I was going to go with Punisher, but Comedian is just as terrifying, and also a rapist. They actually have a lot in common. A giant tank of a man who just carries a lot of guns and believes that he's doing the right thing by hurting and murdering people who either have mental disabilities or just people who made one simple mistake and are now being beaten on by a terrible human being. Except for Jigsaw. He's just a terrible person. Comedian is a man who has found a way to kill and hurt people with no punishment from the government, and he enjoys every single second of it. If I met someone like this who lived anywhere near me, I would get more locks installed on my house. Number 6 is Killer Croc. He literally has killer in the name and he eats people, which creeps me out. He has enough strength to rip me in half and could come up through a manhole cover or sewage line or, I don't know, my toilet at any moment. He scares me. Number 5 is Norman Osborn, a man who is basically a version of Bruce Wayne with a cocktail of cocaine and steroids being injected into his arm constantly, who beds a teenage girl who was previously dating his son and then kills her. The things he does are terrible, and he is a terrible person, and the original mask they made and were going to use for Spider-Man 1 used to creep the out of me. Number 4 is Mr. Bloom. He takes a drug that disfigures his body and gives him odd powers. We have no idea what the limits to these powers are, and we have no idea who he is. He also has a creepy-ass face. I wish I could say more about this, but what makes him so scary in the first place is how little people know about him. Number 3 is the ultimate version of Red Skull. In World War II, Captain America had one last night with his girlfriend before being frozen in ice. 9 months later, his girlfriend had a son, who was trained and held captive by the US military to be the next Captain America. He seemed fine with this until his 17th birthday, when he killed everyone in the facility that was holding him and used a butcher knife to cut the skin off his face. Frickin' terrifying. He's more powerful than Captain America due to the super soldier serum being in his blood, and also he kills babies. If you aren't scared of him yet, I don't know if you ever will be. Or if you have a soul. Number 2 is the Joker, who shows up a lot on lists like this, so I'm going to try and keep this short. But I would like to put my 2 cents in on the subject. What makes Joker scary is that in most incarnations, he's visually appealing. Clowns with half their faces blown off don't scare me, because it's obviously just a psycho in a Halloween mask. Which actually is quite scary. What scares me is a clown who looks like he could be in the circus, doing terrible things, like Joker. Something is the most terrifying when it comes out of nowhere from a place you thought was familiar. Clowns are scary because they are something from your childhood, coming back vicious and evil. Also, Joker murdered a lady while surrounded by babies. Gross. Number 1 is Bullseye. Bullseye is a super assassin who can never miss, is fantastic at hand-to-hand combat, and as if that isn't enough, he has bones made of adamantium, like Wolverine, increasing his strength, speed, and endurance. Somehow. Also, did I mention that he's psychotic? Like, he hates Daredevil, and knows his secret identity, and has killed 2 of his love interests, and he's psycho, and he's terrifying, and he killed Elektra, another assassin who was really skilled, and then he killed Karen Page with one of Daredevil's own billy clubs. At one point, he goes on a killing spree in a hospital with scalpels because he, quote, needs to get some target practice in, end quote. In Daredevil End of Days, he kills Daredevil with his own billy club. Bullseye is a messed up motherfucker, and he deserves number 1. Like and subscribe and have a happy Halloween. This is FGI, and don't take candy from strangers.